D. James Kennedy Ministries presents Truths That Transform.
Today on Truths That Transform, we recall the Supreme Court's ruling in favor of abortion 47 years ago, one still damaging our country today.
They said that unborn children are not persons and are not deserving of the protection of our Constitution and our law.
This Sanctity of Life Sunday, a victim of abortion speaks out.
I found out that meeting that my birth mother had actually had an abortion when she was pregnant with me.
Join us for Sanctity of Life Sunday on today's Truths That Transform. Welcome to Truths That Transform, a production of D. James Kennedy Ministries, where we are standing for truth and defending your freedom. Today is Sanctity of Human Life Sunday, when we solemnly remember the Supreme Court case that legalized the murder of innocent persons in the womb 47 years ago this week. On today's program, you will hear powerful words from Dr. D. James Kennedy on the value of human life and the toll paid by nations that forget that. And we will give you the opportunity to make your voice heard on this and many other key issues for the 2020 election year. As we begin, there is perhaps nothing that can better demonstrate to us the humanity of the baby in the womb than those who were slated to be aborted and yet survived and are with us today. Our own Dr. Jerry Newcomb has more.
I am married, I have children, I live in Austin, Texas, and I had an incredible life growing up. And so people, think, gosh, that must have changed so much for you. That must have just destroyed you to find that out. But I can say that because I was grounded in my faith and who I was and what my family, the principles that my family raised me on, I knew who I was in that moment as my birth mother shared that with me. And so that didn't change.
Claire Caldwell of Texas knew she was adopted. So about 10 years ago, she was so happy to finally get to meet and to thank in person the mother who gave birth to her and gave her up for adoption. But little did she know the backstory about her mother.
My parents were separated. My dad, alcoholic, but always felt the love from him, even though he might be a drunk. Love. And my mom, very abusive. I don't even remember her ever hugging me, telling me she loved me, giving me any kind of compassion. So therefore I seeked outside affection from Claire's dad mainly. So I find myself with this young, good-looking jock cowboy. So I remember when I first thought I was pregnant at 13, the most frightening day of my life to tell my mother. So I got up the courage and I told her. It didn't go well. Here come the beatings, the telling me how worthless I was, how horrible I was going to ruin the Fagan name. So she said, well, you're not going to have it. And I tried to fight that. I had no family support. I mean, what could I do at 13, So she takes me to the abortion clinic. I've never been so scared. All you heard was suction, and then after that is clean her up, she's done. I remember going in that bathroom and just crying, just throw up. I'll never forget turning my head and seeing my baby and, just there in that canister.
Meanwhile, fast forward 21 years later, Claire Caldwell knew nothing of this tragic background. All she knew was that for the first time in her life, she was finally going to get to meet her birth mother.
I was thrilled to meet my birth mother. We met the first time in Dallas in 2009, March of 2009, and we had this incredible reunion. On our second meeting, that was the moment that changed my life forever. I found out that meeting that my birth mother had actually had an abortion when she was pregnant with me. They had told her that her life would go back to normal and that they would fix her problem, but her life didn't go back to normal.
Claire's mother had known something was wrong, as if she were still pregnant after all, despite the abortion she had just had.
So she takes me back to the abortion clinic, and they say I was too far along at that time.
And they told her that day that her abortion had been successful on one baby, but that, oops, they didn't know there were two, and so I had survived my birth mother's abortion.
Claire's grandmother didn't take well this news that there were twins, and only one had been aborted.
So she drives me to Kansas, to another abortion clinic. She lost it. She screamed at the doctors, "You gotta be kidding me. You know, this little whore, she can't have this baby. We can't have this baby. You know, what are you gonna do with it?" I remember her being so angry. And I remember even the doctor trying to calm her down. That's your only option, is to have this baby.
Because they had ripped the amniotic sac that I was in, it was too dangerous for them to perform a second abortion.
So we went back out to the waiting area, and the receptionist is the one that told us about Deaconess Hospital and told my mom that, you know, I could give the baby up for adoption, you know, I can go to this home. So we drove straight from Kansas to Oklahoma City. And that's where she dropped me off. I never went back home from my trip to Kansas until after Claire was born.
And so I was delivered at 30 weeks, and I weighed 3 pounds, 2 ounces. I was 10 weeks premature. I had a dislocated hip and club feet. My visible signs are my everyday reminders of being a twin. But miraculously, the abortion instruments never touched my body.
Claire, the little baby who survived an abortion, was given over to her adoptive mother, Barbara.
I felt so relieved knowing that, you know, Barbara, she's getting her baby. She was so excited, you know, to get this baby girl. And the look on their face, you know, when they seen her, that gave me joy. That gave me a little bit of closure to know that she was safe and that they loved her.
When I met my birth mother, I had a choice to make. I could either be angry and upset, or I could choose to forgive my birth mother and see how God would bring something good out of something that was meant for harm or for evil for me. And that's exactly what He's done, and it's been incredible.
Yeah, I've given her the best life that she could have ever had. So, no, I don't have any regret in that. Adoption's beautiful.
When mother and daughter finally got to meet each other, it was the moment of a lifetime.
You know, I opened the door and I looked at myself in the mirror, and
I think I've lived a normal life even in the moment that I found out I survived my birth mother's abortion.
I don't even know if we said hi until we embraced. And it was just such the best hug ever. And we just sat down and we ate and we looked at pictures and we laughed and cried and ate more and cried more, and it was like a huge family reunion. But it was like I knew these people my entire life. Like, they are my people. All the weight and all the hurt and anger, it was gone. It was all worth it, you know? Here's my baby girl.
That's why I share my story, because I want to put a face and a name and a story with the unborn child, and I saw how abortion hurt my birth mother and has hurt and wronged so many women that regret their abortion. And so I believe that abortion takes the life of a human being just like me and just like you.
You don't want that baby, give that baby a life. Give that baby a family that's longing to have a baby. And if they abort, they never get that chance. The baby never gets a chance. One other thing is, if you are thinking about abortion, reach out to somebody. You know, reach out to wherever in your community, the voice of choice. Don't give up, girls. Do not give up.
I am so glad that I am alive. I'm so grateful. You know, I believe that God spared my life so that I could share a story like this.